Hey y'all, Adventures with Fibro here. I promised you a conversation about Machu Picchu and a little bit about Aguas Calientes. So that's what we're gonna do today. Just a little housekeeping. You can notice my wonderful background. I am in Alberta right now. I grew up in small town Alberta, but I live currently in downtown Toronto. I flew in yesterday. It's been a harrowing couple of days. I found out a friend passed away 2 days ago, and very out of the blue. And my mom is in a home for Alzheimer's. She punched someone last week, which I have to laugh about it because just envisioning my mom doing that is very funny, honestly. But it's very sad and awful. And then my dad had surgery today, and haven't had an update yet, but I'm gonna go with no news is good news. Anyways, I'm in small town Alberta for the next 2 weeks. I did vlog all day today just to keep myself distracted. So yeah, you'll probably see that in a couple of weeks. But for now, we're gonna talk about Machu Picchu. So a lot of people have asked me questions about it and just really haven't understood exactly what was going on. So you do not have to hike 4 days to see Machu Picchu. You can train into Aguas Calientes and then take a bus up to Machu Picchu. There are many different ways that you can get there. There are many different ways that you can get tickets to see it to guarantee that you see it. So because Machu Picchu is so incredibly special and so many people who travel to Peru want to see it, tickets often will sell out. For me, I think the best way, my advice to get tickets to see Machu Picchu would be to go through a tour group, but you don't have to do that. Going through a tour group will guarantee that they'll help you figure out how to get to Machu Picchu in the first place, how to get to Aguas Calientes. Sometimes you have to do a train switch through Ollantaytambo. That's what we had to do on our way back. So we had a train from Aguas Calientes to Ollantaytambo, and then from there we got on a bus back to Cusco. That's what we did, and that was all sorted out for us because we did the 4-day trek with Cachi Life. If you want to do the trek, the 4-day trek, it definitely sells out depending on what group you want to go with. Now, as I'm talking, I'm going to show you guys pictures of Machu Picchu. So these are the pictures I took. I wish I could explain everything that happened, but I was so exhausted when we were exploring it that I don't remember much. I really don't. I think I mentioned I'm reading a book right now all about Machu Picchu that's helping fill in some of just the blanks in my head, and I actually really want to go back and spend more time there and just enjoy it more. I highly recommend going with a guide, or else you're really not going to know what you're looking at. You know what I mean? It's like walking around a museum and not getting the little listening guide, and you're just kind of running through it going, okay, that was cool, but you don't actually know what you saw and you can't ask questions and stuff. So because we did the trek, Mauro, our guide, took us through and explained everything to us. I just wish I could remember more. I don't. So for us, we did the 4-day hike with, like I say, Cachi Life, and they only allow 500 people on the trail at any given time. So those can sell out really quickly. And I know that Cachi Life is already starting to book into 2025. So if you do want to do the 4-day hike, I recommend looking into it sooner than later, especially if you want to go in the summertime, in our summer, their winter. I don't necessarily recommend doing it during the rainy season. There are so many stone stairs that I think it could be quite dangerous, but I know they will do tours up until a given point. And they're in the rainy season now, so it's up to you. In the rainy season too, however, you're less likely to get the iconic shots of Machu Picchu because it could be completely surrounded by the cloud forest, and that's just something else to consider when you're planning on when you head to Peru and Machu Picchu. There are some really great Facebook groups where you can get a lot of information. 10 out of 10 recommend checking those out. But you can also do a shorter trek. You don't have to do the full Inca Trail, and you don't even have to do the Inca Trail, like I say. You can do a 2-day trek to see it as well. or you can train to see it. I believe, and I could be wrong in this, so don't take this as canon, but I do believe you have to take a bus to Ollantaytambo, and then from there you can get on a train. There are many different types of trains that you can take at all different prices. So I'm not going to go into all of that, but just depending on how much money you want to spend, will kind of give you the different journey that you're looking for. Aguas Calientes is also known as Machu Picchu town. It is the very touristy town that is situated at the base of the mountain, Machu Picchu mountain. And there are a lot of really great hotels there and hostels, and the restaurants are amazing. It's a very, very cool city. I wish I had more pictures of it. I want to actually go back and explore it a little bit more. Aguas Calientes means hot water. They literally have a hot spring there, which is very, very cool. Oh, the pun, the dad jokes that can be made right now. It's very hot. They do have a cold plunge if that's your sort of thing, but it is really enjoyable, and we did take part in it. It was lovely because we had so much time between getting down from Machu Picchu and eating lunch before our train later that night. They do also have a really big market where you can buy a lot of the same things that you could buy in Cusco and in Lima. Actually, if you go to one of the Inca markets in Lima, you can get a lot of the same kind of things there. So whether you want to hit that up or not is completely up to you. It is a really, really beautiful little town though. And there's all of these sculptures all over the place that you can explore and look at as well. The train goes right through the middle of the town, which is kind of interesting, and it was a unique experience. We did see a huge amount of people lined up to buy tickets, like last minute tickets to get to Machu Picchu. So let's get back to that for a second. We booked our trip through Catchy Life sometime in January in order to make sure that we could get in with them in, when did we go? In August. I believe we started booking things in January. February is when we just locked things in. And like I've said in the past, I really liked Catchy Life because they guarantee the use of local guides and local porters, as well as small groups. So our group only ended up being 5 people. It was supposed to be 6, but one of our group stayed behind because of illness. So it ended up being just a small group, and it was really, really wonderful and a phenomenal experience. And I absolutely would hike it again with that same company. So if you are looking for a recommendation to hiking the Inca Trail, I absolutely recommend Catchy Life. So yeah, you can do the 4-day hike, you can do a 2-day hike. You can also tack it on to other hikes if you do Salcante or other, I know there are other hikes around that area that you can do. Laras, I think, is one. You can kind of tack it onto that. You don't necessarily hike through the Sun Gate on the Inca Trail, but you can go, hey, let's hike Salcante and then also do Machu Picchu. And again, the company will then help book your tickets to everything. So your entry to Machu Picchu, your bus ride like back down the mountain up to Machu Picchu, etc. So it's kind of nice to have all of those things taken care of for you, in my opinion. You can also hire guides right at Machu Picchu to help you out and explain everything to you. So that's a thing. Know that it's going to be a long day. You're not allowed to use any sort of poles or any sort of cane, anything like that. So just a heads up on that front. You're not allowed to take backpacks, or you're not allowed to have things on the outside of your backpack. That's what it is. So our poles had to go into our backpacks, and we did see some older people just kind of being helped out by the people in the group. So just keep that in mind when you are going to Machu Picchu. It is on the side of a mountain. There are a lot of stairs, but you can also take your time. You can only go in one way, so make sure you get your pictures and ask your questions as you're heading through. But you can also spend as much time there as you want. There are 3 different circuits you can do. We did circuit number 2, I believe. and it just depends on what you want to see. Circuit 2, to the best of my knowledge, is the most popular one and sells out the fastest. So if you desperately want to do circuit number 2, I recommend getting your tickets early. But also, I'm just looking at a website right here, Get Your Guide, and you can, honestly, you can just book a guide from here, and you can book bus transfer to Machu Picchu online. You know, there are so many ways to get to Machu Picchu. It just depends on how much of your own work you want to put in. Do you want to figure out the trains and the schedule and the bus schedule and everything and do that all on your own, or do you want to take a bit of an easier way and book through a company that's going to guarantee that you get there and have a really good time? It's up to you. If you do want to get a little bit of a hike in, you can also hike up to Machu Picchu from Aguascalientes. You can also hike down if you don't want to do the switchbacks, because the bus, it's windy. You can easily sit on an inside seat and not really be as aware of the windiness, but it's windy. It's switchbacks all the way up. The Andes are very steep, so just know that. Let's talk a little bit more about Machu Picchu. I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of history and give you some facts and everything. I have not memorized these, so I will be reading them. So here are just fun facts about Machu Picchu. Okay, so it is known as the lost city of the Incas, but it was never actually lost. I touched on this briefly in one of my other videos, but the Incan people knew about it the whole time. Just the outside population, the rest of the world didn't know about it. So when Hiram Bingham came along in 1911 looking for El Dorado, he kind of was talking to people, and they showed him this incredible place. But they had been using the terraces to like for harvests and for their llamas and alpacas to graze and all of this, so they knew. The majority of the buildings had been overgrown and overrun by the rainforest, but like I say, there's a lot of terraces that you can see in pictures, etc., that were being used. So it never was really lost. And this is a really, really cool thing. So that Machu Picchu has been in existence since the 15th century. When the Spanish came to kind of conquer the area and the Andes, they actually never found Machu Picchu, because what the Incan people did was they blocked off the river routes to get to Machu Picchu. So it was never discovered. It is believed that eventually they abandoned the city so that it wouldn't be destroyed by the Spanish. But it's really cool that it was never discovered by the Spanish, and therefore it still remains to this day. So it does sit at just shy of 8,000 feet, which is quite high, but I don't think you should be that affected by the altitude at that point. I mean, maybe if you have a bit of a lung issue, maybe if you have asthma, something like that, make sure you bring your puffer, but it shouldn't affect you that drastically if you're in relatively healthy shape. So we have talked about this a little bit too. So the Incas' traditional language is Quechua, and Machu Picchu in their original language in Quechua means old peak or old mountain. I am not smart enough to tell you about all of the astronomical alignment that has to do with all of the citadels and everything that the Incas have created, but it is absolutely incredible. I think it's the 4th day of the summer solstice, the sun will actually go through the sun gate and land on the sun temple. It's a fair distance away, so it's absolutely incredible. And then on the winter solstice, same thing, the sun will land on a specific area of one of the 3 windows. Like specifically, they did this on purpose. It's very, very cool. It is a UNESCO heritage site. Obviously, they built it all without using mortar. So they have this way of building the bricks. They knew that it was on a fault line, so they had this way of quarrying the bricks from a nearby mountain, and you can actually see some of where they quarried it. And then they build with bigger bricks on the bottom, smaller going into smaller on the top, and they leave a little bit of room in between so that if there is an earthquake, none of the buildings are going to collapse. Like, it is crazy, you all. Like, if you see the original pictures that Bingham took back in 1911, everything's standing. It is insane. It's insane. It blows my mind. It is one of the new wonders of the world. Some of the stones actually weigh up to 50 tons. And here's the thing, the Incas had no concept of a wheel. They didn't know what a wheel was. And like, they did not create a wheel. It was not in their purview. So they were moving these stones without a wheel. Like, I cannot fathom this. They believe that it was I can't say his name, what is it? Pachacutec, who was an Incan emperor, that he was responsible for having Machu Picchu built. So there are statues that you can see of him in Aguascalientes. They believe there was a stone masonry school there. They also have a kind of more social center as well as a agricultural center, and these are in different areas of the citadel. Even though people have been researching Machu Picchu since its rediscovery in 1911, no one actually knows why it's there. They know that the Inca Trail exists as kind of a pilgrimage, and if you're hiking along the Inca Trail, you do come across all of these other ruins where they kept agriculture and things like this, and places where they could stay overnight and things like this. But all of the roads, the Inca Trail leads to Machu Picchu, and but they don't know what its ultimate purpose was, which is kind of fascinating. So, as we talked about, at the base of Machu Picchu is Aguascalientes. If you are going to visit Machu Picchu, you will spend time in Aguascalientes. Like I've said, it has a big market, which is quite beautiful. It has a river that goes through it, really stunning. There is a waterfall you can walk up to see. I did not do that. We did go to the hot springs. If you do go to the hot springs, you have to make sure you have a towel, or else you can rent one at a nearby booth. Obviously a swimsuit as well. As my luggage was stolen, I didn't have a swimsuit, but I was able to buy one. It didn't fit great, but it worked for the time being. Thankfully, I did not take a picture, and you all should be thankful as well. I recommend spending a day there and actually checking it out. Also, check out the Sacred Valley. I didn't get a chance to look at the Sacred Valley and really explore it, so I am not so discreetly planning another trip down to South America because I really want to explore the Sacred Valley, spend more time in Cusco. This was kind of just over the halfway point for our trip. We, like I say, headed through Ollantaytambo back to Cusco that night. I really want to explore Ollantaytambo. It looks very cool. Also, it's a good idea to stay in Cusco and then head down into the valley to explore, because the Sacred Valley itself is at a much lower elevation, so it helps with acclimatizing. You do want to spend a couple of days in Cusco acclimatizing if you are planning on doing Rainbow Mountain or Palcoyo, anything like these. So Palcoyo, which is what we did, it tops out at like 16,000 feet. And let me tell you, you're going to feel it. So these are my recommendations. When I go back, excuse me, I will spend a couple of down days in Cusco, just walking around, getting to know the city a little bit, because like I say, I didn't get a chance to really do that quite as much because I was sick. But yeah, those are my suggestions and I guess a little bit more information about Machu Picchu itself and Aguascalientes. We headed back that night, and then the next day we spent just getting most of our souvenirs. Spent a lot of time getting souvenirs. We also slept in because we got home so late. One of our party, Michelle, flew home that night, flew back to Canada that night. I actually ended up connecting with Mauro, our guide, again that night, and we had a nice little chat, a nice little visit in my hotel lobby. And then the next day we headed to the rainforest. So look forward to that. There will be at least 2 more videos about my trip to Peru. I'd love to tell you guys all about the rainforest, and then also heading back to Barranco in Lima, which is the area of Lima that I absolutely recommend going to. Miraflores is great, but Barranco stole my heart. It stole my heart. As I've mentioned in, like I say, past videos, There are 2, maybe 3 places in Lima that are very, very safe for tourists, but a lot of it is kind of just be wary. It's a city of 18 million people, and it is a third world country, so just keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? So Miraflores and Barranco are the places to go. Barranco is just, it has my heart. But I'm very excited to tell you guys about the rainforest and Barranco, and I will see you soon. Please like and subscribe. I really would like to build my channel. I love doing this stuff. I love long form videos, and although I don't have great retention rate, I'm doing my best. If you have made it this far, please comment. Oh gosh, comment if you want to. Tell me if you want to go see Machu Picchu one day. Tell me if I've sparked your interest. And I'm here if you have any questions, and we will talk soon. Thanks for being here. Make it a great day. Bye.